Welcome back to another episode of Creative Finance Playbook Podcast, where we deep
Come
dive into.
on!
Let's go. We got a super special guest today, Brent Daniels. Obviously, if you've been in real estate, you know who Brent is. If you're thinking of just getting started, you probably still know who Brent is. Powerhouse TTP in the building. What is going on, Brent? Thank you for coming today.
I'm excited. We're doing deals this week, guys. We're doing deals. You know, I've got I've been making big transitions in my business this year. I started out the business a lot of outbound, a lot of really pro activity, reaching out to property owners, reaching out to other investors, reaching out to other wholesalers, and built my business on outbound. Now I've switched it to inbound, which is mostly marketing, which is a totally different process, way more expensive. And now I'm spending about $100,000 a month in marketing. But fortunately, so far this in September, we're going to close 300,000. So that 3-to-1 ratio is really good. But it certainly didn't start out that way. It started out with me being super broke with a beat up car, with a broken window and a garbage bag covering it, driving around looking for properties that had, weeds in the lawn and cars and kind of, junkyard looking, and calling up those owners and getting some deals. So I'm excited about being on your guys' live show, and thank you.
Well, obviously I've been following for a long time, and I was like, wow, like just the excitement that you bring and the knowledge, the gifts that you guys do. I mean, it's not just like TTP, you're involved with so many different things. It's fantastic. But before we get there, we all hear Brent Daniels now, but like, where did it all get started? Right.
Yeah.
Who was the Brent Daniels before real estate? Like, you hear the broken car and all that. Like, I want to hear that guy.
Yeah. Well, I put myself in that position. Every dinner time we had dinner as a family, which was fantastic. I loved it. And we would say, what's one nice thing that happened to you today? And we'd go through that around the dinner table. And it was always this environment of, you could do whatever you set your mind to, go crazy. We support you. You're so talented. Go for it. Right. And as a young man, it's very good. It builds a lot of confidence. But then after you turn about 22, that could easily turn into ego. And it certainly did. I fell into the quicksand of ego and built some businesses and made some decisions as a young man that put me in the hole. I foreclosed on 5 properties that I never should have bought on adjustable rate mortgages. I signed an office lease for 10 years on this huge building that I signed January in 2008. And we all know October 2008, the economic world melted. So the interesting thing about not paying rent is they sue you. So I went through a lawsuit at the young age of 27, 28. So I had a judgment there and kind of lost everything. But I started the path, like so many people, as a high school graduation gift of the Rich Dad book. And that really made my mushy brain excited and put me on the path of being an entrepreneur and put me on the path of being a real estate entrepreneur. And so had to make a lot of mistakes, but now business is rolling. Business is going really well, and I love this business. It's easy to have a lot of enthusiasm about this business because you're literally one conversation away from an incredible opportunity. And so I think that's what we're here to talk about today, which is fun.
Well, and I always say, like, you don't know, like, the next seller that you talk to, the situation that they can be going through. It's like you could get a check, you could really help people's lives and their situations. And, it's a fantastic thing. So you're young, you're Get Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I know what that book has done, to the point where our 9-year-old is now reading it.
Yep.
And going to do a report for us on it. He's a big reader, and my daughter's next. But so you start getting into real estate. What got you into that more than anything? Like, obviously there's a lot of choices. I know when you're starting off young, you've got so many opportunities. Like, what was like, hey, real estate's the thing?
I think it's something that's just innately American, right? To own land, to own property, to to have that, to build a real estate portfolio. I think there's just, at least for me, at least my experience, I was like, I saw all the wealthy kids and the wealthy parents of those kids, and they all had rental portfolios. They all talked about this, collecting rents as, in high school, and or their parents were buying apartments or whatever else. So it was just a natural thing. And maybe that was just growing up in Gilbert, Arizona, which is a suburb of Phoenix. Phoenix is Arizona is the 48th state. So we're very pro business, pro expansion, pro building. The government makes it really easy. So I think that I'm kind of in the mecca of real estate investing. I think a lot, a tremendous amount of real estate investing coaches and teachers come out of Phoenix. And so I just think it was just kind of in the air. You know what I mean? I didn't really know how to do it, but I knew that it was probably a smart idea to do it.
But yeah, there's a huge buzz around Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're the little brother, you know what I mean? We're the one that wants to prove that we're young and we can build a great state, I guess. And so, the government has made it very easy for real estate investors, for lending, for building, for permitting, and all that. So it's an exciting place to live for sure.
Yeah.
So
I would love to kind of hear, sorry, Joe, I want
get
to
it.
know, what was that mindset shift that really took you towards the wholesaling and that, that TTP method, which I want to kind of break down for everybody. But I'm just curious, like, when did that kind of fall into your lap and, your world went that way?
Yeah, I love it, Jen. So, I got my real estate license in 2004. This is pre-podcast and YouTube and social media. And really it was just traveling seminars, right? That would come around and kind of teach you different strategies, and lease options were really big, and no money down was really big, and flipping was really big, but I never really heard wholesaling. I never really heard of the term. I certainly didn't know what an assignment was, and I didn't know what an assignment fee was, but I knew that if I could match up investors that I had networked with, that I knew were doing fix and flips, if I could match them up with a property that made sense to them, they would pay me a commission. And so I was just looking for a 3% commission because I got my real estate license in 2004, and I was just looking to make some sort of commission just based on my own efforts. I didn't have any marketing budget. I had nothing in my account. I couldn't even get a bank account at the time. Because my credit was like the lowest it could be. So Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, all of them said, no, we don't even trust you with the checking account. I had to get some weird, obscure online. You had to send them like $300 to even get a debit card type of thing. And so I was just trying to do whatever I could to find some opportunity to make a commission. And I sold it to my buddy, Derek, who's a phenomenal real estate investor here in town. And when I went to look at the settlement statement, was some that used to be called the HUD-1, I was looking for my commission to make sure I was getting the 3% because this was not on the MLS. And I looked down and he's not the buyer. There's a different buyer on the settlement statement. And I was like, what is this? And then down at the very bottom, I saw this thing called an assignment fee. And then next to that, I took my little finger and I went over and I was like, $30,000. What is that? Right. And I was like, I called him up and I was like, are you buying this property? He goes, no. I already sold it. And I go, what? How do you sell a property that you don't own? And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. And so I was like, okay, well, as long as I'm getting my commission, that's fine. I sold him 2 other deals. I kept seeing assignment fees, and those 3 deals, the assignment fee equaled $92,000. And then I talked to the title company, which if you ever want to know what's going on, the real educators, the real teachers in this industry are the escrow, a really great escrow and title officer.
Yep.
And then they broke down what an assignment was, and they sent me what the assignment agreement was. And I was like, what is this? And they're like, yeah, somebody can replace you in a purchase agreement, and people will pay you to replace you in this purchase agreement if it's a good enough deal. And then, Jen, it was like, I swear, it was like the clouds parted, the birds started chirping, there was a beautiful rain. It was like, it was just the light bulb went on. They talk about aha moments in life. That was definitely one of them. And I was like, holy, do people know about this? Is this like a real thing? And then I started getting into podcasts, and I went and searched wholesaling real estate, and this crazy guy, Tom Kroll, popped up in Wholesaling Inc. in 2016, and I was listening to him, and I'd been doing it a couple years, but it was kind of like I wasn't sure if I was going to commit fully to that. I had built a real estate agent brokerage, and real estate agent team, and so I was kind of focused on that, and I was like, am I going to abandon this whole being a realtor thing for this wholesaling thing? And Tom was the one that really gave me the push and encouragement once that podcast came out. And it changed my life forever.
Wow.
Well, if you think about it too, you're starting to look back at these assignment fees and thinking like, why not me? Right. And so you do a deep dive into it. And this is why when you said the best part about real estate, it's like the most American thing you can do, is because, when I first got started, I saw other people who had real estate too. And I just assumed they had a silver spoon born in their mouth, right? Like they came from all this money, and you needed to have money to get into this. And so like my very first deal was a wholesale deal. And that's how many people get started. So obviously you're seeing somebody making almost $100,000 on 3 transactions, and you're doing all the legwork. So it was time to dive into it. So you started doing it yourself.
Well, my biggest fear, Joe, it was the biggest fear for me, or the biggest hurdle for me, was I was like, I don't have enough money to make an offer for a cash offer. I can't lie. I don't want to be a liar on there and just put my name or my company's name on this purchase agreement for 100% cash purchase. I don't have the money. And then I went to a meetup, an investor meetup, and they had hard money lenders there. And one of the hard money lenders there had a big sign that said transactional funding. And I was like, huh. So I went up and I talked to him, and really nice guy, John. And John said, yeah, we'll give you 100% of the purchase price, depending on the deal. And if you've got it already sold to somebody, we'll only charge you $1,000. And I was like, so I can just make cash offers with your guys's like letter of intent or what was it called? Proof of funds. And he goes, yeah, that's what people do. And I was like, that's what people do. How do I not know about this? There's something. So I am a cash buyer. He goes, yeah. He goes, there's way more money than there are great deals. So if you find a great deal, there's always going to be money for you. So in that instant, I had access to like his $20 million fund that was now in my back pocket to make cash offers. So it eroded that fear that I had or not even the fear, just the reality that I didn't have the cash to buy these properties. But the cash is always there. This industry is so set up for us to win if we focus on finding deals. And I think that's really there's 3 main factors of being a really good real estate entrepreneur. The first one is find great deals. The second one is raise funds, and the third one is property management. And so I think if you understand that those are the real big pillars of being an awesome real estate entrepreneur, you can focus on the first one, and then the other 2 come really easy. Well, maybe not property management. Let's be honest. But,
that's a little, you're dealing, but so Brent just dropped a whole bunch of like golden nuggets, guys. So if you're listening right now and you're just thinking to myself, like, my gosh, I am just looking to get started. Like, what a better, like, just lessons right there. You don't need to have a ton of cash. You just need to get around the right people, and everybody is looking for a great deal. So finding the great deals, that's part of it. And that's what I want to dive into now. Is I see some of the biggest challenges with somebody starting off is we're afraid to talk to people.
Yep.
And we're afraid, and we're afraid for many reasons. Sometimes I'm afraid of success. What happens if they say yes, Brent? I'm afraid what happens if they yell at me, or I don't know the answer to their question. So like you made you all about TTP, talk to people. That's what that stands for. Okay. So
yep.
I just want to dive into the importance of that, and why that's so critical for people's success.
Yeah, if you boil down that first part, find great deals. There's two parts to that. Having a quality conversation and making offers. I am telling you, if the only thing people get from this conversation that we're having is to just have conversations and make offers, you will win. You will 100. I will guarantee 100% stamp guarantee. If you talk to enough people and make enough offers, you will find a deal of a lifetime. You could find a deal of a lifetime. Dolph DeRoos, who was a great real estate coach back in the early 2000s and a good friend, he has this term, the deal of a lifetime comes around about once a week. And it's the absolute truth. As long as you are having conversations and making offers on a regular basis. That is it. That is the whole start to the business. And I always wanted to outsource it. I was never the guy that, I remember raising, we would get like candy bars for Boy Scouts, and you'd have to go sell candy bars for whatever jamboree or something that was going on within the Boy Scouts. And I would always be like, Dad, can you do this? Can you just take these to your work and sell them to your, the people that are at work type of thing? You know what I mean? Right, Jen? Right. So I was never like going to go and just be the sales guy. I was always an expressive personality, but I was never put in a position to like be in sales. I never had a job. I've never had a job in my entire life. I never had a summer job, or I never worked after school. My parents had a deal that if I was playing sports, I didn't have to get a job. Great. So I would always, find some sport to play. And so I never had a job. So I never had that experience. So I got into real estate in a sales position, which is a realtor. That's all a realtor is a sales position. And I had to really learn what rejection was. I had to learn how to overcome objections. I had to learn how to understand different personality styles. So I just became a student of effective communication and then put it into practice. And it took a while, it took a while to really feel comfortable in my own skin and be confident and kind and curious. And I think if you have those three things, you can do anything in this business if you're kind, confident, and curious. And so I just started to put myself in uncomfortable positions. I started to go and door knock. I started to make a bunch of cold calls. I started to get coaching with people that really were proactive coaches that were like, listen, all you have to do all day is find somebody that wants to buy or sell real estate. And if you don't have the marketing budget to be able to have those people reach out to you, and if you don't have the reputation that people just are going to bring you those opportunities, you have to go and find those. You have to earn those yourself. And so it takes a lot, but change is hard. Change is uncomfortable. But if we didn't have to change, we'd be where we want to be, and then we wouldn't have goals that we're trying to accomplish. So I think it really took rock bottom and losing everything to build that solid foundation to really just go bananas. And then for years, all I did was cold call from 9 to noon every single day and ask people if they would consider an offer on their properties, and talk to 45,000 people.
I got to ask then. So you're kind and you're curious. So how did you handle the rejection? Like, how do you handle the person that's not saying, yes, I'll sell you my house?
Badly. I would shell up for like a whole day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People would call, I would call people. They tell me, get a job. You're a scammer. How dare you? Do you see a for sale sign in my front yard? All those things. Or they just mess with you and, oh yeah, I do want to sell. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a great price. Any price you want. You know what I mean? And so you just deal with it, and you start building a thicker skin. You start being, that's why our mascot is a rhinoceros, right? You got to have rhinoceros thick skin to be in this business. And you have to be a student of human communication, and you have to be able to genuinely be curious about what is going on with those people, and be okay understanding that when we're starting, we are interrupting people's days. We are being rude. We are kind of that part of our brain, that acorn-sized part of our brain that's like, oh, don't get kicked out of the tribe, or you're just going to be destitute and just live in the wilderness forever. It's still in our brain there. So I had to get through all of that just through brute force, just by doing it. And I'm telling you, the reps helped. I mean, that's what got me through all of that, was just doing it a lot.
So you're talking 45,000 calls. You're talking
45,000 conversations. It was
conversations.
about a 500,000 calls.
Okay. So if you're listening, that's obviously a humongous number. And when you hear that Jenn's, one of her sayings that she taught me is like, how do you eat an elephant? Well, that's a big number, right? It's just one bite at a time.
That's it.
So it's the days that you can put in those calls. It's being serious about your business, and it's hours and hours of rejection and no's, but knowing you're just that one call away from, it could be a life-changing check.
Yeah.
And I know when I got my first, it was a lot of money, especially I was young and broke, but it was the theory that I did it was way more powerful. I learned from these things back then, cassette tapes.
Oh yeah.
And it was, and so this is what we had to deal with now. Now there's so many more things to it too. So it's never been easier to talk to another human being than it is right now. So, as we're saying that, like you see the time now, like the market in some areas, I know in South Florida, it's getting a little bit softer in the market. Some areas are still a little bit hotter. So like, what are you guys doing in your own office and your business for navigating through like the current market?
Real quick, because you brought up that cassette tape, I think it is, when you were getting started and you were an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. I'm telling you, besides raising children, being an entrepreneur is the hardest thing that you're going to do. And you need to be surrounded by positivity. You need to be surrounded by optimism. You need to be constantly learning. So my advice is, if you're alone in the car, you need to be listening to podcasts. You need to be listening to audibles. You need to be putting great stuff in your brain at all times, or this business is going to tear you down. You're going to just fall into that quicksand, and it's going to be tough to get out. So the reason I brought that up is I had this Earl Nightingale cassette tape that was Lead the Field. And now I think you could just get the whole thing on YouTube for free. Mm-hmm. It was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And it just kept me being really, really, really positive. And that helped me in the times that there was a tremendous amount of rejection. There was when it was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I trying to learn this, sales or communication or being proactive? Why aren't I smarter? Why didn't I become a doctor or something? And then you realize, then you have a conversation with somebody and you make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and you're like, holy cow.
That's why.
This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is the path to being able to get rid of the bad debts and start putting stuff in the asset column, right? And start building real wealth. And so, it's, you gotta be reading all the time. You gotta be listening to great stuff. Listen to this podcast, listen to, really great audibles, and it really helps out. But this market right now, listen, all of my leads now are inbound, which is a whole different life for us. Before we were doing a lot of calls, a lot of text messaging. And so now the sales cycle is a lot shorter. Typically when a lead comes in, we're going to put that property under contract in 24 hours, right? Wow. In 24 hours, our average deal size is $24,000. And it usually costs us about $5,000 to $7,000 a deal. Those are real numbers. Just depends on if it's coming from TV, Facebook ads, or pay-per-click. Pay-per-click is our best resource right now. We're getting a 1 to 5 return on that. And those are the best, highest intent leads that we've ever had. So what I'm doing in this market is I'm really transitioning. I'm trying to hoover up all the people that are leaving the industry because, cash buyers have shrunk down from a wholesaling standpoint. And I'm trying to hoover up more of the market share in Phoenix by marketing, building a brand, and building a real, I would call, mature business, an adult business, you know what I mean? As opposed to just run and gun hustle season. I'm trying to build a brand to where we just go to the door. They're ready to do business with us because they recognize us.
Bam. I absolutely love that. And, here's the one thing I thought about too, as the market is ever changing, why wholesaling is, I could see a lot of folks doing maybe some less fix and flips and going to more wholesaling. Because if you buy a deal from a wholesaler to do a fix and flip, you're paying the deal, you're paying the wholesaler, you're paying a title company or attorney to close it. contractors, holding costs and expenses. You're going to now sell that property, pay a realtor, title company again.
Yep.
Then obviously, then you're finally the last one getting paid. Right. So to be getting paid at the beginning of that cycle and to actually help out somebody who's really is in their wheelhouse for those deals. I think with the current market, that's been one of the things we've been shifting to even more, is doing less fix and flips and doing more wholesaling deals. And
yeah, I think fix and flips are fantastic.
Yeah.
I think obviously it adds some risk. I think that it needs to be bigger deals. You need to be making at least double what you could if you just wholesaled it or assigned it to somebody else. I also think it's a different business. I think that there's every exit strategy that we have, and there's really three main exit strategies in real estate. There's buy and flip, right? There is buy and hold, and then there's assignments. And I think everything kind of falls in those. I mean, you guys have so many different techniques on being creative on the buy and hold, even on some flips. But they're different businesses, and people need to understand that. And the people that really build a wholesaling business, it's totally different skills for a buy and hold and totally different skills for a fix and flip. And people really need to understand that it's almost having three different businesses at the same time. It might feel like tools in the toolbox, but in my experience, to really run a really successful fix and flip business, you have to be doing a lot of fix and flips. It's got to be a main focus.
I agree with that.
And we have some going on. And it's a lot of things, like you're working with contractors and things like that. So, and it's wonderful when it all goes well, and a lot of them do. And I think that's just part of it. But I was going to talk about, you mentioned a second ago, like, so you're talking about growing your business. Like, when was that? Like, okay, I'm got a business now, and now I'm scaling in that. And I think usually after you get that first 2 or 3 deals underneath your belt and you start getting some momentum, many people think that. So like, what were some of the steps that you took to scale your business to where it is like today?
Talent is everything, guys. I mean, you know it. I mean, the people that you bring on your team have to be top tier, absolute top, in my opinion. I've tried it with virtual assistants, nowhere near the efficiency that I have with people locally that are building a career around this. They're raising their kids off of this. They really want to be the best at building their skills and being great at acquisitions, at disposition, at the transaction coordination. And so I'm looking for people that I can work with for a really long time. I want to pay them ridiculous, but I also want to overwhelm them with opportunities. And so, when you're at that position, when you could start replacing yourself in the business, it's amazing. But expect that your income will take a dip as you're going through that learning curve with the new people that are coming on. And obviously, the more expenses that you add to a system, the less money, the less net you're going to have until you can get it stabilized and then really start growing. And you can't do that if you're constantly having a revolving door of people coming in and out of your business. You got to find people that are really, really talented. You got to recruit people that already have jobs. Never recruit somebody that doesn't have a job, in my opinion, and really build something special and make it like a family business. Make it so that everybody wins. Give great bonuses. Have great trips with them. Have great goals. Have everybody, get together and build something really special. Don't just set it and forget it, which I see a lot of people do in our businesses where, I just hired these guys, so I'm out of it. Those never last.
Mm-mm. That's a perfect segue. I was just kind of curious. So you took us through the beginning and definitely like the vision of you door knocking and making all of those calls. But like, what is your day in the life now? Like, if we look in on Brent Daniels, like what's going on over there?
Yeah.
First of all, he wakes up with a Cybertruck. Okay. So cool. Kids love it. What do you think of that?
Listen, it's a midlife crisis car. You know what I mean? Like that, cool. It is what it is. The kids love it. The adults, I was driving down the street in my neighborhood and a dude was walking down and just flipped me off. I was like, what is it? What is happening? Because of this, like, I don't know if it's like a Tesla, Elon Musk, Republican thing, and I don't know. Who knows?
Oh my God.
It's just interesting. But yeah, from the standpoint of my real estate business, I just got off at 10 o'clock to about 10:30. We do our meeting, and we go through our income tracker that shows all the deals that we currently have and what our income is going to be for the week, for the month, and moving forward based on our goals. We go through any properties that need me to really look at and comp and really see if there's some potential there that the team hasn't seen, just because I've been looking and comping properties for 20 years, and they've been doing it for 6 or 7 years. They're phenomenal. But there's some things that I can see that they can't. And then I stick my nose in as often as possible, just calling up the team and seeing what the action is, seeing who's on appointments, what do they look like, what are we locking up today. I just get excited about it. And then we have another meeting on Thursday from 2 to 3. And then the team comes in on Friday mornings, and we do our scoreboard up on this big LED wall. We go through all the results, every lead that came in, what happened to it, and what we closed that week, what we put under contract that week. And then we have lunch, and that's about the extent of what my role in the real estate business is, which allows me to do what I feel like I was put on this planet to do, which is teach. I truly believe, and I'm sure you guys feel this as well. Teaching is the legacy, right? Teaching is the when you can, all the teachers and all the coaches that I've had have left such a huge mark on me that will be passed down to my children and to the people that are around me. And so I'm in that position where I can teach and coach and do a lot of YouTube videos and podcasts and coach the Rhino Tribe, which has just been an unbelievable journey and blessing. And so that's kind of my, and then I work out with the trainer 3 times a week.
Keep him fit.
Family, right? You've got family, wife, kids, all that you're able to balance because you're able to really manage your time wisely. And like you said, you grew a team of A++ players to be able to enable you to live that way. Yeah.
Friday, after the team meeting around 1 o'clock, I load we pick up the kids. They usually get out of school a little bit early on Fridays. We load them up into the Cyber Beast, and we drive up the mountain to Flagstaff. We stay in our log cabin and spend some time in the mountains during the summer, because it is a absolute furnace here in Phoenix for about 4 months. And I take the kids to school in the morning. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, you can design the life that you want. You know what I mean? You just have to earn it. And that's the tough part. I think it takes 7 years. Takes 7 consistent years of really, really putting in the effort in this business. And it took me a lot longer than that. But I think that, once I reset it, it took me about 7 years to be able to be in control of my schedule. And so people should just expect it's going to be a lot longer than they think it is. It's never 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. The industry changes so much. Interest rates change, inflation changes, election cycles, all sorts of different things. Buyers come and go, investor strategies come and go, lead generation strategies come and go. So you got to be involved in it, and you got to be able to really have your thumb on the pulse of the business to be able to last in this. And you don't get to the Hall of Fame by having one good season.
Mm-hmm.
Bam.
We have a question here on Instagram from Nick Camarada.
What up, Nick?
He did call you the GOAT, and he also wants to know, how do you get your arms so damn big?
Listen, I got a trainer 3 times a week, and my mom was a college gymnast. I don't know what to tell you. It's genetics.
Well, there you go. And Nick's a great guy. He's a product of what you teach. And
listen, Nick is top 10 handsomest guys in real estate. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, he doesn't have to worry about his arms. He's doing fine.
So I was going to ask, and you mentioned obviously you got to put in the work. So when I'm just starting off, I'm that new person, how do you recommend somebody find the time? Everybody thinks we're so busy. If we put down our phones and we stop scrolling on social media, there's probably 30% of the day you could get back. Right. Because I've seen stuff. So what would you recommend somebody who's I want to get started, but how do I find the time, or I don't have the time?
Yeah. you got to be obsessed with this business. You know what I mean? Like when you're obsessed with something, you're always thinking about it, and you just got to take that extra step from not thinking about it to taking that massive imperfect action. You know what I mean? So it just starts off with, call one person a day. It could be somebody that's on Zillow, that's a for sale by owner. It could be a listed property that's in rough shape. I mean, just start having conversations about real estate, and that'll start that, that pilot light that we have inside of us. That anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur has. And it's a rare thing, guys. It truly is. If you're like watching this and you know that you're meant to do something bigger or special, that's different. A lot of people don't have that brain. A lot of people are just like, you know what, I'm going to just live this life. I'm going to be, kind of the masses. Like I think it was Caesar that said, give people bread and circus, and they live good lives. You know what I mean? The people that want more than that have a different brain like that, you find the time. We have 168 hours in a week. And so be obsessed, be committed. Don't be interested. Interested people never last. Interested people are a flash in the pan. Interested people are like motivated people. You know what I mean? Like motivation's great, but discipline takes you places motivation can't. You know what I mean? And so I think that if you become obsessed, you're going to build the discipline. And once you build the discipline, you're going to be around people that are disciplined, that love this business, that are enthusiastic about this business, that are doing amazing things. And you're going to surround yourself. You can't be on an island by yourself. You cannot be on an island by yourself. You have to find your tribe. You have to find your community. You have to find your group. You have to squad up. You have to find people that are doing this business, because you will have conversations with family and, parents at school, or the barbecues, or, happy hour, or whatever. And you're excited about, buying and selling real estate, and you will see people's eyes just glass over because they have no idea what you're talking about, nor care.
Yeah.
And so you got to be around the people that you start talking about. You see the lightning in their eyes come out too, and they start going, and you start feeding off each other. It's like what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? And you find those people that are a few steps ahead of you. You're obsessed. You're obsessed with not being, average, not being middle class or poor, but being really rich. You'll find the time. You will find plenty of time.
Like that alone is like, we could wrap it up right now. I mean, that legitly says it all, guys. And it's about being around the right people. Some of my greatest friends that I have in my life are somebody that I've met who are a real estate investor. We're going out, we're doing things together. These are the people who I felt like when I talk to my old friends, they're still friends of mine. But I wouldn't lend some of them $20, where here I am doing millions of dollars worth of business with some of these people who now are some of my closest friends. Yep. So it's about getting around the right people, and that energy you feel, it's amazing. So if you're just in that phase right now, my biggest thing is just go to the meetups, right? Find out who's local in your area doing deals, like get around the right people, and it could be life-changing. One little audio cassette changed my life. It could be a podcast that you listen to. It could be being in the right room with the right connection, the right person. Could be life-changing. So if you really want it bad enough, there should be nothing stopping you. Just go get it, right? So
yeah. Listen, everybody can do this. Anybody can do this. Yeah. I am telling you without a doubt, I personally guarantee if you talk to enough people that own ugly houses, you will find unbelievable deals. You will. I don't care if you barely speak the language. I got Hugh Boy. He's a student. He came here when he was 17, didn't speak any English, learned English from watching TV. And now he's got $1 million business. And the guy's like, I don't know, 25 years old. Right. You know what I mean? Like there's so like, you don't have to have everything lined up for you. You just gotta take the action. You got to take the massive imperfect action every single day.
The number one piece of advice, anyone listening, is that what you would say? Take the action.
Yeah. Talk to people. I mean, that's why, listen, guys, I wore the TTP shirt for like 8 years straight. The only shirt I wore on everything. You could look me up. I guarantee you 99% of the pictures that you'll see of me, I'm wearing the TTP shirt. I'm just, again, I'm just getting a little bit more mature. I'm wearing my Joe Homebuyer shirt here. You know what I mean? On Tuesdays when I have my team meetings, but you got to talk to people. That's all it is. Conversations and offers. If you boil it down to that, you can literally drive out today. You can go down into countless neighborhoods and you will find properties that need renovation. They need updating. They need they need complete rehabs. You know what I mean? They need investment. And there's people out there that are literally have their hand raised. They're pounding on the door. They're doing everything that they can to try to buy these properties. You match up an opportunity with the investors that have the cash for that deal to invest in that community, and you get paid for that. You can do that
value
every single day.
Mm-hmm.
This is the greatest business of all time.
It really is. You just got to continually go after it and not quit. That's what I say all the time. Just keep going, especially if you feel like you're at that point of, oh my gosh, I just want to throw in the towel. That's usually when that breakthrough is going to happen. You just can't quit.
Yeah. And you need to go through that. Do you know how much growth you get when you go through that filter? You know what I mean? Yeah. That barrier that's blocking you from really blasting through. Do you know how much pride you have in what you do when you can go through that and you earned it? You know what I mean? It's like you can't buy championship rings. You know what I mean? You got to earn those, and you got to earn the opportunity, and you got to earn the income. The earned income that we get is equal to the amount of value we provide. You want to make $1 million? Provide $1 million worth of value. And it takes time to develop that.
But it happens all the time.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep. I mean, I think there's 1,700 millionaires are made every day in the United States.
There you go. So if you're listening, when is it going to be your day?
When is it going to be your day? What are they doing? They're just providing value.
Awesome. Wow. Well, everyone here that has popped on, you're the GOAT, you're the man. Thank you so much. So many gold nuggets dropped here. And I know you're a busy guy, so we're so grateful that you were able to pop in and spend some time with us over here. So if everyone is listening and they want to connect with you, where could they find you, Brent?
Brent Daniels YouTube channel, Wholesaling Inc. podcast, Wholesale Hotline podcast, any of those. Come join us on our live shows. We have a great time with that. And just jump in there, participate, reach out.
So much. We had so much fun when we got to come to your studio. The kids got to check out the tech room, and you were just so welcoming, and you're just so down to earth. So, guys, reach out to Brent. He definitely is exactly what you're hearing right now. I'm so grateful for you coming on. Anything else you want to wrap up with, Joe?
You guys are phenomenal.
Thank you so much, man.
You guys are making such an incredible impact. I love the way that you guys communicate and love this business. And that's what we need more of, just genuine love for the business, genuine love for teaching. And that's our legacy. That's what really the unseen impact that we have in people's lives is an incredible thought. Something that we'll never really be able to grab onto and make tangible. But I love how loud you guys are and how much love you bring to the industry. So thank you.
Well,
thank you.
Obviously. Yeah. Thank you so much. And then hopefully we'll get to see you really soon. So thank you guys once again for tuning in, and check us out next week as we go live every Tuesday at 2:00.
Awesome.
All right.
See you guys. Thanks, Brent.
See you guys.